reference group contributing to a conversation on our agenda today. Thank you for being here. And also to staff who will both be contributing throughout the hui, and also those who put in the mahi to make our agenda happen and be on our tables. So thank you so much to everyone involved in making this meeting happen. As a quick note before we kind of formally open the hui with a karakia, I just want to say that all tech is down, so to speak, or the network that would enable us to Zoom, to include people via Zoom and also to live stream this meeting onto YouTube, unfortunately, are not possible right now, or that tech is not working in our favour. We also are unable to print things through the system, so hopefully you can all access things via your devices, but do sing out if there's an issue and we can make sure to get that sorted. And it is also, the meeting is also being recorded by way of this device. So it is, this conversation is being captured and minutes are being taken, be assured of that. And also that if a member of the public or someone would like to have the verbal recording of the meeting, then that will be made available. So just wanted to kind of put that out in the open. But I'll pass over to Kim to open our hui with a karakia.
Kia ora. Me karakia tātou. Ia mātou e whiriwhiri ana i ngā taki kai mua i o mātou aroaro, e pono ana mātou ka kaha tonu ki te whakapau mahara huapai mō ngā hāpuri e mahi nei mātou. Me kaha hoki mātou katoa, kia whaihua, kia tōtika tō mātou mahi, mā te maia, te tiro whakamua me te hihiri ka taia te arahi I roto I te kotahitanga me te aroha.
Kia ora. Kia ora, Kim. Thank you. Just as a reminder too of our strategy operations and finance tikanga, on most occasions today, or on all occasions actually, we'll be taking our papers as read, but we invite comments from staff on changes, additions, and also the decision that's being sought from the paper. And then we'll move straight to questions, except for, though, when we have a kōrero from those members of the public who are in the room. We will keep questions relevant to the paper at hand, please, and make sure that our debate is succinct and focused so that we have a conversation that avoids too much repetition. And we'll also take regular breaks and make sure that we come back on time. So we'll take a break at 11 o'clock this morning. So moving on to item number 3, apologies. We have an apology from Councillor Rob Coford, who's on a leave of absence, and also Community Board Member Simon Black. Kathy? Councillor
Thank you. I just wanted to note that I will be leaving the meeting at 10:55 a.m. this morning, but I will be back. It's just I've been invited to Mamie's 84th birthday party next door at Novella for a while, so I'd really like to go.
Cool.
So,
Kia ora. Can you pass on happy birthday wishes from all of us? Mamie is a great wahine. Cool. Are there any other apologies? Nope. Can I have someone to move that those apologies be accepted? Deputy Mayor Kirby, seconded Councillor Warwick. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Declarations of interest relating to items on the agenda. I'll declare. Oh, that's up. She's entitled to declare that if she so feels that it fits. But I will note that I have a declaration of interest relating to item 8.4 on the agenda, which is the Climate Action Grants paper, because I'm a member of Kapiti Cycling Action, and so for that item I will be passing over to the Deputy Chair of our committee, Councillor Liz Coe. So just noting that I have that declaration of interest. Cool. Moving on to item number 5, public speaking time for items relating to the agenda. Mike Alexander, who was with us just previously, he spoke a little bit to the Climate Action Grants paper on the agenda around composting and his thoughts on different methods of composting. He was intending to speak to an item on the agenda as well as bringing his roading issues up in the public forum, but he just combined them into one. So just to note that that was relevant to item 8.4 on the agenda today. Item number 6, moving right along, members' business, leave of absences. Anyone like to request a leave of absence? Kia ora. Not seeing any lights. Perfect. And 6B, matters of an urgent nature. Have not been made aware of any, so let's keep moving. Thank you, team. Okay, so now item number 7, update. 7.1, strategic architecture and next steps. Chris, I'll pass this over to you.
Thank you. I'm just going to set the scene for a moment and take you back to the 9th of March 2023, which will be a fond strategy and operations meeting that you attended. This was one of the first sessions where we were talking about moving into our vision capacity work. And at that meeting, we agreed that we were developing the district's strategic direction through Vision Capacity. We noted some things about the Local Government Act and some of the requirements in it, and including that part of what we're doing here is looking at the current and future needs of our community, and we're doing so with a lens of sustainable development. We agreed that we were going to be developing a new outcomes model, and we have been talking about that. And that's to support our blueprint for change so that we make sure that we're focusing on monitoring and targeting what we do to the opportunities that bring most value to the community. We agreed that we would be bringing in some new performance metrics and refining those, and we have talked a bit about that over the last few months. So that, again, we're able to compare ourselves with others, but also that we're focusing on the right things, and that you can see the value in what we're doing. This week we talked, in the last week, we've talked a little bit about the idea of productivity and social return on investment, and that we're starting to bring some new forms of analysis to the table that we may have previously not been reporting, but is really critical to be able to make sure that we are being transparent and open and accountable to the community about those things. We said that we'd be making progress to take this forward over the next 6 months. I'm giving you an update today on some of that work. Now, this is an algae hub, so I'm not going to apologise for there being small text on this page because the screen is only so big, but we are going to hone in on part of it. What I wanted to note to you is in March, we shared with you our strategic architecture. So that's actually the first triangle on the very left-hand side of the page. Now, don't stress, I'm going to make it bigger in a second. What I just wanted to note is we're just going to talk a bit more about the detailed layering and definitions that sit in that strategic architecture. We have talked about this before, so I'm not tabling new things. I'm just giving you an update on some of the things that we have underway. We are going to be starting to review our strategies, policies and plans to realign them to the 5 layers that are, or levels that are in our model, and it's to bring this new strategic architecture to life. So that's the thing that I want us to focus a bit on. Here's a bigger picture. So in the architecture model, at the very top, we've got our vision, outcomes, and the blueprint that we're developing. The next level down, we've got our local success factors. So this was the idea that we have approaches and our local visions. Underneath that, we have operating strategies. Underneath that, supporting strategies and policies. And then the very lowest level is our plans and operational settings. So I'm just going to go back through it because I wanted to talk about this slightly. Our vision, outcomes, and blueprint. So the purpose of this level is that we're focused on what the community collectively wants to see and achieve, our aspirations, and that's going to be focused on people, place, and partnership. Because as you know, that's the focus of our new outcomes model and a lot of the work that we've been doing together and that we're talking to the community about at the moment. The local success factors is something I want to hover on a little bit today. So this is really about the key lenses and priorities for the community, the council and our partners, and the effort that we'd be making to achieve collective aspirations. And I just want to talk about the approaches zone, because this is where we would be bringing some focus areas in and really starting to drive focus through everything that operations is doing and also our engagement in the community. I will talk a bit about this in a minute, but and we are going to have the age-friendly reference group joining us for one of our next items. But one area that we're proposing we will have an approach is around age-friendliness and capacity. Another one that I have put on the table, and I think you would expect, is around titiriti and our and how we're bringing that to life in this district. That is at the moment on the radar. Work hasn't progressed, but we would be starting to talk about that with our iwi partners and you in future months. I'm just giving you an example of the things that fit in that sort of lens zone. So I've just talked to you about age. Actually, if we think about Te Tiriti, it's how we're bringing together something that relates to our partners. Another one might be gender. So the areas and focuses that you need to drive through the layers that sit below it. The next thing I'm just going to comment on is operating strategies. I think I've said to some of you before, but I will repeat it. If you go onto our webpage, there are a lot of strategies. It's not clear what the hierarchy in those strategies are, what's most important, what's driving the overall direction and effort, and how that might link up to the vision that we're sharing. And I want to say that a lot of good work has been done to develop the strategies. In of themselves, they are good things. What we are doing is just putting some structure and alignment to them so that it's clear for everyone else about how they fit together. So our operating strategies are really going to be about the pathways for addressing thematic and contextual issues that help us achieve our aspirations. So the kind of things I'm talking about are things that you've asked us to do. A health strategy, climate change and resilience strategy, environment strategy, economic development strategy. So you get the idea of what a housing strategy, you get the level of which that is at. The next layer down is supporting strategies and policies. And there's two components to this. One is our bylaws and external policies, and the other side is what we're calling functional and business strategies. So this is setting out implementation tactics as part of an external response. Underneath that, we've got plans and operational settings. So in here, you'd see delivery plans, action plans, implementation plans, game plans. So recently, we talked about the food and beverage game plan. That's where that would sit. Also, you'll see in here our organisational internal policies and corporate plans to make this place work and for stuff to happen to support us to achieve the things that you've agreed we want to deliver for the community. So we're talking about that level being delivery plans or settings. So we're going to be coming back to you and talking a lot more about this, but I wanted to table that detail today in advance of us talking about the age-friendly approach that's coming to the table.
I have a question on that slide.
Go back to that, Liz.
Sorry. I'd like to see values on there. I keep going on about values, and it probably fits under that in that second box down or something like that, or across the whole thing, or
yeah.
But the values needs to be on that diagram.
Okay, I'll take that away. But I do agree, Liz. I think it would be through the whole thing.
Yeah, so it's down the side.
Yeah, and as you know, in our vision work, we are looking at the community's input around values-based decision making and engagement. I think we talked about here. So when we have that will flow down through that. But I will put that on that diagram.
Mayor Holborough,
So we're taking questions as we go along.
how many slides have we got?
5.
Yeah, we'll take questions as we go then. Yeah.
Yeah, so around that, would it be appropriate to have vision, outcomes, blueprint, and values in the top? Because that's about the general kind of aspirational goals.
How how about I take this diagram away and I put the values in, because I think we could do it in both places and come back to you and say, hey guys, this is what I'm thinking. Does that reflect what you think we need to make sure we're conveying in our framework?
Yeah, I just had another question around approach versus strategy. I know there's been some discussion about that. I'm still not clear on what the difference is. I heard that and we have in our papers today, that the older person's strategy will be an approach, whereas the climate strategy will be a strategy. To me, the approaches are more about outcomes and effort, partner effort, and that to me, the climate strategy would fit into that category. The question is, how are we making decisions around what's an approach and what's a strategy, and what are the criteria around which we're making those decisions, and who's making those decisions?
So maybe what I'll say is this is our model or framework as a start. The local success factors, the way that, in a very simple way, I'd describe this, is if I thought about when we come back to the table and we report, we focus on an issue, I would call that a lens. Another way that I might talk about it is, and this is a very technical term, so work with me here, when you disaggregate your focus. So you might say, I'm going to report to you on older people's outcomes and the work that we have underway to deliver for older people. I might also report on youth. I might report on how we're delivering on mana whenua and our iwi aspirations and the things they've said they're important. And what would come through our local success factors from my perspective, I've already identified for discussion with you about 7 areas that we would report specific things to you to say how we're going around those lenses that are important for this district. So it's based on our community and our demographics and the things that if you looked at this community, you'd say, most people would expect you to be saying you were focused on these things because of who is in your community. So the lenses give you a focus that drills through everything you do. It sits above an operating strategy, because an operating strategy is talking about a topic and what it is you're focused on. So I'll use climate change and resilience as a topic. In the climate change and resilience strategy, we'll be talking to you about the model that we think we're focused on for climate change and resilience. So things like actually mitigation, recoveries and their adaptation. The lens would drive through, and if I use age friendliness, how are we making sure that we're looking after our older people in the communities when we bring our strategies through? It's a lens we apply to the strategies, if that makes sense. So it needs to sit at the very highest level, so we're clear on the groups that we're highlighting or the issues that we're highlighting at the very highest level to drive the work that we do and the focus that we have. And today I wanted to make sure we'd landed this model. We're going to be coming back to you over the next couple of months, working through this with you. So we do have criteria in the background. I have shared with you, just as a very early draft, some of how we'd allocate existing things based on that. But when we're not going to come back and go, it must sit here, we're going to go through a process of going, actually, this is where we think it would sit. So I do want to say, without stealing the thunder of an upcoming item, we met with the Age Friendly Reference Group and worked through this to talk about what does this give you and what will it mean. If the Age Friendly strategy was put in place, it would be at level 4 in this framework based on the model. So what we talked about with age friendliness is we want age friendliness to be driven through everything we do. And so as an approach, it's going to drive down through our operating strategies and anything below it. We also talked about, though, that we want an implementation plan because we've got some stuff to be done. So you're not restricted at being at any one level, but we will be saying everything cannot be an approach and everything cannot be an operating strategy. because you need some priorities. So for me, the top 3 levels of this model are about priority. And then the 2 at the bottom are about getting stuff done to deliver on what you said was important. So that's kind of the differentiation in this model. And we will be stepping through it with you so that we can go, this particular strategy sits here, this one is here, and here's why. And maybe I will just move on to
Thank you.
this. Yep, I mentioned this before, but you do a quick search of our website. There's 23 strategies listed. They're not all there. If you just look up strategy, there's a list of strategies, but I think, Janet, actually, when we were looking at a list of strategies, you said to me, Chris, there's stuff missing. Yes, there is. So they're not actually all listed there. The 25 policies are listed, but some of those are actually frameworks, even though we've said it's a list of policies. There's no overview of plans to outline how we're actually delivering across all of this. So it's really hard to see how it fits together. So my comment is there's a lot there, it's hard to find, and it's not clear how it fits together. And so this model, its intention is to help with that. So our goal is to bring more clarity, alignment and structure so that we can share as simply as possible with the community what we're wanting to achieve, and our focus will be on place, people and partnership, what our main operating strategies are for driving change and the pathways for doing so. And in that respect, what's most important to be focused on in terms of different groups or issues in the community, what policies, supporting strategies or plans will be implemented to deliver on that, and the progress against those. So you can actually see when we report how it connects back to what we've actually set up. And at the moment, that's a little bit difficult to do. So we want to make this more transparent, more open, and to ensure that we're showing that we've been accountable to what we've said we'd do. So what happens next? We've talked about the outcomes model is going to be coming into our long-term plan, and you know it's based on the donor economic model, and forget the technical words that appear there. The point is place, people, partnership. Your top 10 priorities that you've set are based on that. Today, we are introducing our first local success factor, and that's through the tabling of the age-friendly approach. Our purpose in tabling that is my comments earlier about wanting to drive age friendliness through everything that we do. So this is not just a compliance document that we use to hold the door open. It's actually driving stuff that's happening through other things that are going on in this organisation and more broadly our work in the community. Going forward, as I said, we're going to be undertaking a review to align all of our policy, strategies and plans of any kind to the appropriate layers. And we'll be coming back in late November, early December to table that at SO&F, but we will talk to you as we're starting to do that work. A key element of that upcoming work is going to be enhancing our website so that we can actually refresh what we have there so that you can see the strategic architecture coming through. So we want it to be straightforward and succinct, so it's really easy to engage with. We want to say how our vision, blueprint and outcomes model and those key strategic elements connect together. It should be easy. And we want to say clearly to others the hierarchy of how those elements fit together. So we're really clear on what's important for this district, what we're trying to achieve and how we're doing that. This will be critical as we move forward to talking about another important topic about identifying new funding sources and revenue streams. So I can say to you, after being in government for 20 years, central government, if you can't understand what someone's trying to achieve or how it aligns to an outcome that you are focused on, you're probably not very interested. So at the moment, if you look at what we have, you might struggle to see the alignment between what some of central government are doing, where there are big votes of money, and what we're trying to do. So we're trying to part of this is make sure that we can talk to people in the same way, and we're also trying to be really clear about where we think we're putting our energy and effort and why. So that's what it's about. And so when we're coming back to you, that's what we're going to be doing. And today, I really just wanted to let you know that we are beginning that work. We will be starting to come back to you. You are going to hear from the age-friendly reference group today, and we're going to be talking about it. And it's going to be the first item we put on the table in our new approach that we're moving towards. And you will be seeing a lot more of this. So I wanted to make sure that we'd gone back to our early discussion, that we're creating that clarity, that we've publicly had this conversation so that we're starting that sort of korero, and that we will be starting to put some more comms out on our website and in other places, that we're starting to talk a bit more about this in a very, I need to say, non-technical way with our community, because I'm not going to go out there with pictures of diagrams and triangles and other things. We're going to get a really simple message together about what we're doing. So that's what I wanted to convey today.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Chris. And as Chris has said, we have had opportunities to have a conversation about this architecture, and there'll be many more of those conversations to come as we figure out where things fit and where there are gaps, and how those things connect and relate to each other. So this is very much not the end of a conversation, in fact only the very beginning, and the work that you and the team have done to inform all of this, Chris, in such a short amount of time is really awesome. So I just want to acknowledge that. Are there any questions from elected members or our mana whenua partners, from anyone around the table? Okay, doesn't seem to be any questions. I think that's pretty indicative of, of the work that's been done, and we'll continue the conversation. Cool. Kia ora. Oh yeah, go for it.
Just first of all, thank you for the presentation, and secondly, just an acknowledgement of the importance of referencing Te Tiriti or Waitangi. But I'd also ask that perhaps as we continue to develop this approach to this strategy, that there is visibility in terms of the reference to iwi or mana whenua. I say that respectfully and distinctly from just simply capturing mana whenua or iwi under the terms of community. It's not how we view it. So I'd ask that we give that some consideration as we continue to develop this strategy.
Thanks, Andre. That's fantastic feedback. And I would say to you that Hara Adams, our new iwi partnership GM, is going to be the person who will be working with you and our other iwi partners to develop that advice as it comes back to the table. So I am confident in saying to you, you can take it for granted that that is on the cards.
Kia ora, thanks Andre, and thanks also Liz and Councillor Coe and Mayor Holbrook for bringing up the kind of values part of the discussion as well, and yeah, we'll work on how that's woven into the architecture that's before us. Cool, I think the tech has now apparently come back online. We're good to go, so we might just need to take a quick, we're just going to take a quick 5-minute break, until 10:20, just so people can restart their computers and we can start the YouTube live streaming. But thanks to the staff who have got that up and running behind the scenes. I understand it was quite a bit of frantic running around trying to see what they can make work, and they've done it. So we'll just take a quick 5-minute break.